Welcome back. What is this? This is Chicken Philosophy, Meccan Revelations, Part 14. I forgot, so Editor Edward had to cover for me and fill it in later. Speaking of which, Editor Edward, is it working? I guess there's only one way to find out. Whoa! Okay, it's working. It's working. Editor Edward, could you bring in some music? Let's do this. You should know, picking up right where we left off last time. If you want to start at the beginning, you can click there. You should know that since the power of the name Allah contains, according to the original coinage, every divine name, or rather, every name having an effect within engendered existence, it takes, on behalf of what it names, the place of every name of God. So when someone says, "Oh Allah," look at the state which incited him to make this call and consider which divine name is specifically connected to that state. That specific name is what the caller is calling with his words, "Oh Allah." But the name Allah, to its original coinage, names the existence of God itself, in whose, quote, in whose hand is the dominion. Let's do this. The dominion. Star Trek fans will understand. The dominion of, and yes, I did that entire graphic in my head just now, right before I pointed to the screen, expecting myself to do all that editing later. Just kidding. Just kidding. I had already made that. Actually, I made it like a few days ago just because it popped into my head. I thought it was fun. Anyway, this is reminding me a little bit, what he's talking about is reminding me of, I think it was like one of those church, out in front of the church, how it has the letters, and sometimes it says funny things or suggested things. And I think one of them was laying in bed on a Sunday morning screaming, "Oh God," doesn't count as praying. Come to church. Yeah. So when someone's saying, "Oh Allah," look at the condition of the person doing the screaming, right? Never mind. Okay. Now that we're all on board here, yes, we already said that. Quote, "in whose hand is the dominion of everything," end quote, Quran 36:83. That is why the name which refers specifically to the essence takes the place of every divine name. All right? Let's go back to the bookshelf. Next, to the one who is named by this name, in respect of the fact that, quote, "to him the whole matter will be returned," end quote, Quran 11:123, belongs the name of every named thing toward which there is poverty, whether mineral, plant, animal, man, celestial sphere, angel, or any such thing. Whatever name is applied to that of a creature or an originated thing. Hence, he is named by every name which is possessed by a named thing in the world and which has an effect within engendered existence. And there is nothing that does not have an effect in engendered existence. Let's go with some trees. Yeah, cool. As for the fact that the name Allah includes the names of incomparability, the source for this is near at hand, though every divine name, right? Yes, is the same in respect of denoting the essence of God. Nevertheless, since every name other than Allah, while denoting the essence of God, also denotes, because of its derivation, bracket parentheses, from a specific root having a specific meaning, end bracket parentheses, a meaning of negation or affirmation, it cannot be as strong as this name in the unity of its denotation of the essence, semicolon. Such is the case with All-Merciful and others of the most beautiful names. It is true that the Quran, God says to the Prophet, commanding him, quote, that in the Quran, God, the Quran, that in the Quran, God says to the Prophet, commanding him, quote, say, quote, within quotes, call upon Allah, or call upon the All-Merciful, whichever you call upon, to him belong the most beautiful names, end quote, within quote, end quote, Quran 17:110, but the pronoun him refers back to him who is called upon, since he who is originally, and this is capital H, originally named outside of derivation, is but oneself. God has preserved this proper name from naming any but the essence of God. Therefore, God says, as an argument against those who had ascribed divinity to something other than this named one, quote, bracket parentheses, they ascribe to Allah associates, and bracket parentheses, say, quote, within quotes, name them, end quote, within quotes, end quote, Quran 13:33. And those who had held such a view were rendered speechless. For if they had named that thing, game show or something. They wouldn't have named it by other than the name Allah. All right, bookshelf. As for the all-comprehensiveness of this name, that is because the objects denoted by the names which are superadded to what is understood by the reference, by the quote-unquote essence, end quote-unquote, are multiplied and are multiple and diverse. That's like multiplication and division, multiple and diverse. We do not have any pure proper name for the essence except the name Allah, since the name Allah denotes the essence by exact congruence, in the same way that proper names denote the objects they name. These are names which denote incomparability. There are names which denote the affirmation of the entities of the app. Now, that last verse, it was its own verse, 197.8. These, there are, what? There, not these. There are names which denote incomparability. Period. And that's it. That's the whole verse. All right. I mean, it makes me wonder if there was a list of names after that. That was like left out of the translation. No, they wouldn't do that, would they? There are names which denote the affirmation of the entities of the attributes, though the essence of God does not allow that numbers should subsist. These are the names that make known the entities of the affirmative attributes of the essence, such as the knower, the powerful, the willing, the hearing, the seeing, the living, the responder, and the thankful. The names that make known descriptions, so that nothing is understood. So that nothing is understood from their ascription except relations and correlations. Sorry. Like the first and the last, the manifest and the non-manifest, and the names that make known acts, such as creator, provider, author, shaper, etc. In this way, everything has been classified, all the divine names. As many as there may be can be reduced to one of these kinds, or to more than one, while every one of them must unquestionably denote the essence. So this presence contains all the presences. He who knows Allah knows all things. But he does not know Allah who does not know one thing, whatever named possible thing it might be. What? Okay. Since the property of one of these things is the property of them all. In denoting God, in denoting knowledge of God. Okay. So if all you know is swinging on the swing set, or if all you know is following in the chemicals left behind by the ant in front of you, something has to be there to have knowledge of the essence of God. Something. At least one thing. Okay. Yes, you will see that you did not know him except through him. The denotation is identical to what is denoted through that denotation and denoter. So yeah, okay. So if you're creation and you're calling creator, then it says more about you than it does about. Okay. Let's just do the green screen. Oh, there it is. See, this is what it looked like when I was putting it up. A little bit of behind the scenes movie magic, like that kind of thing. Okay. Though this presence comprehends all realities, the states which pertain to it most specifically are bewilderment, worship, and the profession of incomparability. As for incomparability, which is the fact that he stands high above similarity with his creatures, it leads to bewilderment in him and also to worship. God gave us the power of reflection so that we might speculate upon what we know of ourselves and of him. The property of this power demands that there be no likeness between us and him in any respect, except specifically our dependence upon him for the bestowal of existence upon our entities. The most that the profession of incomparability gives is the affirmation of relations, that he possesses toward us because of what the concomitants, which is a word that I'm familiar with, of our entity's existence demands. Full stop. Okay. These relations are called attributes. Edward, what is concomitant? Thank you. If we say that these relations are things superadded to his essence, that they are ontological, and that he possesses no perfection except through them, even were he not to have them, this would mean that he is imperfect in essence, but perfect through the superadded ontological thing. You superadded ontological thing, you. Just in case that, all sucked. I mean, visually, I'm going to do the second half, or the second 2/5 of the two groups of 2/5, one of them being 3, math. It's been a while since we've had it closed, hasn't it? What are we talking about? Okay. If we say, quote, they, bracket parentheses, the relations, end bracket parentheses, are neither he nor other than he, end quote, this would be a contradictory sentiment. Words within no life that denote a deficiency of intelligence, words with no life, not within, words with no life that denote a deficiency of intelligence and a lack of speculative power in the speaker, far more than they denote God's incomparability. Okay. If they say, what? If we say they are neither he nor other than he, this would be a contradictory statement that denotes a lack of intelligence on the part of people who write that way. Take that, author of Thunder the Perfect Mind and other things from that period. Okay. If I say that they are not he, that they have no existence, and they are only relations, while relations are non-existent things, then we would have given non-existence an effect within existence. While the relations are multiple because of the multiplicity of the properties bestowed by the entities of the possible things. If we say none of this whatsoever, we will have rendered the speculative power ineffectual. If we say that nothing has any reality, that things are illusions and sophistry and of no avail, and that no one can trust any of them, whether, bracket parentheses, they are known, end bracket parentheses, by way of sense perception or rational reflection, then if this position is correct and known, what is the proof that can have led us to it? If it is not correct, how can we know that it is not correct? Well, we can't. We've all seen The Matrix, right? Morpheus has to give you a pill, right? Okay. Since the intellect is incapable of reaching knowledge of any of these matters, we return to the law. But we only accept it through the intellect. The law is a branch of a root that we know through the lawgiver, but through which attribute has the essence of the law reached us when we are incapable of knowing the root? It's a fair question, maybe even a dangerous question. Sorry. So we are even more incapable of bracket parentheses knowing and bracket parentheses and affirming the branch. Right. It kind of ties into what my overall goal is, reading all these sort of foundational books that are too boring for generations Boomer, X, Millennial, Z, and Alpha, as far as I can tell. But the silent generation was into this shit. Yes. So we are even more incapable of, yes, knowing and affirming the branch. If we pretend to be blind, I mean, depending on where you were, they might not have been interested necessarily in Ibn Arabi, but you know what I mean. Old stuff. Stuff that's like, yeah, I've heard all that shit from my grandma, you know, like that kind of stuff. All right. Stuff that takes like some kind of clockwork bullshit filter to see through, but it's old, you know, so it's kind of like, shouldn't we respect our elders at least enough to hear them out, and then we can put it aside and go, what was that? But or not, you know, we can decide. Zennial, if you were wondering. All right. It took me until I was like 45. Is that how old I am? To like finally, like intentionally read foundational things. No, first I started with the Buddhism, and then I decided to read Carl Jung, and then it just spiraled out of control from there. Where was I? Oh boy. If they super added attributes. I'm going to have to end it right there, because I'm going to have to figure out later where I left off. And so this is going to be a short one. Shorter than usual. They've been short before. There was one I think I had like a little skit going on between the personas. So when I was recording it, I recorded like 45 minutes, but the thing ended up being like 22 minutes long because there was a lot of like time spent changing clothes, because I don't touch anything. I just get up and change and come back. I'm sorry about the fifth wall break. All right. I guess that's it. I wasn't actually going to record until like Thursday. But then I saw this green sheet and I just couldn't resist. I had to try it. So I hope it wasn't too painful of an experience. I will find out later if I ever want to do that again, or if I should just avoid doing that. What do you think of this light right here? Isn't it cool? Ooh, I covered it. And on that note, I will go ahead and keep babbling and maybe make this episode a little bit longer. So we went to Carnival yesterday. Here's a little bit of that. There's me with my new mask that's currently being worn by a Squid Game staff soft toy stuffed animal hanging outside the door. Never mind. Yeah, so tonight we're going to this island in the middle of a river where they have like a local version of Carnival, which is like more scary. Like they dress up like zombies and skeletons and scare children and stuff. So that sounds pretty awesome. So hopefully I can share some, or whoever's up next, BT, can share some images of the scary version of Carnival on Devar Island. All right, that's enough babbling out of me. I hope that you enjoyed. Oh, I've been reading, I haven't been reading the Hafiz. Let's do that, shall we? Bibliomancy. Mm-hmm. All right. Do I need, yes, magnifying glass. Cupping my hands like a mountain valley by Hafiz. Like the way the valleys of the earth cup their hands for light and drink, like the way the desert opens up its sweet mouth and laughs. When someone melts pearls in the sky and rain returns like a divine lover with 100 wonderful gifts. Oh, the words from the true teacher bring my mind and cells such sacred nourishment and life. When the moon is full, it gets gregarious and likes to chat. I have heard it say, quote, "Look what can happen, dear seeker, when you lean your graceful arms toward God in prayer. Look at the amorous light you can catch that will help the night musicians and your soul get loose." Oh, it's very long. We'll continue. We'll read one page of that poem at the end of every Meccan Revelation episode until it's finished. It was nice.